Hey everyone, welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 types of foods that everybody needs to be stockpiling. Now this is not the usual classification that you're used to, so we're going to be talking about 4 different groupings of foods. You need each one. You need some foods that are going to fall into each one of these categories. I'm not talking about food groups, I'm talking about types of food. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into why do we need these different types of food. This is going to be focused a little more on preparation and storage, okay? There's only so much storage that you have, and certain types of foods are just like less efficient in storage. So the first type is you're going to need your long-term food storage. So this is lentils right here. I didn't feel like dragging a giant bag of pinto beans out or getting a 5-gallon bucket out, but this is what I use in my kitchen. Lentils. So basically, you need long-term food storage, and this is rice. You need rice, beans, and then you need oil. You need like some kind of cooking oil or vegetable oil. You need those fats. And arguably, you could also add in things like, protein, whether it's animal protein or something else. But generally speaking, I'm going to limit this down to rice, beans, and cooking oil. That would be your long-term food storage. Oil does need to be rotated out, so arguably where that falls, whatever. But you definitely need a whole bunch of Maillard, rice, and beans. This is just the most efficient use of your space in your home. You just can't beat it space-wise. Also, if you package the beans and the rice properly, they will last indefinitely, right? So a lot of people do use the phrase, stock what you eat and eat what you stock. I disagree with that principle. I don't think it's quite so straightforward. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. We all have disagreements and such. But the reason why I disagree with that is if you Mylar up 5-gallon buckets of rice and beans, you don't need to eat rice and beans. You need to know how to eat rice and beans. You need to not be like allergic to one of them. But if you put up 5-gallon buckets of rice and beans or totes of rice and beans, you don't need to eat it because it lasts basically indefinitely. So you can just put it up for 30 years and you don't have to rotate it. So if you don't eat it, you don't need to rotate it. So that's fine. Now, not everything is shelf stable like that, and you're going to want to rotate other stuff. But rice and beans, I advise everyone to get up to 3 to upwards of 6 months of a rotating pantry, and then you need to go beyond that with long-term food storage. Long-term food storage is the most cost-effective way to add months onto your food supply. And a lot of people keep saying, well, you'll get sick and tired of eating rice and beans. But you'll be alive to get sick of eating rice and beans. And you can sit around eating rice and beans and complaining, which is a lot better than sitting around starving and complaining about not having food, right? There's these citations of people starving to death while they still had food because they were tired of the food. And that's just total bumpkus. Now, people will stop eating for a time. They may go into a fasting mode, but when their body tells them that they're out of fat and that they're coming out of fasting, trust me, when your body tells you that it's hungry, like not like I want to eat, but rather I need to eat, you're dying, you will eat anything. And when you look around, the people around you, you will consider eating them. That is human nature. That is how we are built. So if you have rice and beans, you won't eat your neighbors. That's what I'm trying to say. Group 2. These are kind of like the add-ons to your long-term food supply. These are the foods that are going to be great to have. They're going to make things taste a whole lot better. Chicken bouillon is my number one go-to. You can get the giant 7-pound things of chicken bouillon. That makes rice and beans taste a whole lot better. You put a little oil in there and you got a meal right there. And if you can get some stuff out of your garden, get some out of your lawn, like some greens, some onions, that kind of stuff, you can throw that in there. Awesome. I've really actually been stocking up on the diced onions, dried diced onions. I don't feel like just dehydrating them all myself. I don't really have the time to do that, so I'm just buying them in bulk. I think they're like a 7 or 8 pound box that you can get on Amazon, which is fantastic. Diced tomatoes, they really spice up rice and beans. I love that. You just throw that in there. It's got all the seasoning. It's got basil and garlic and oregano and yumminess and tomatoes, of course. Evaporated milk. This isn't necessarily for rice and beans, but it's nice to have. Gives you a whole different flavor. I have cereal stockpiled somewhat, so evaporated milk is good for that because you can just keep that. Powdered milk is also good too, but evaporated milk is just really handy because you just crack open the can, just pour it in there. You can also make desserts out of things like sweetened condensed milk and evaporated milk. So in this second stockpile, you want to have that kind of stuff, whether it's arguably the first or the second. Protein like canned hams, roast beef, canned meat, and canned chicken. Once again, all that could be theoretically in the long term, but just kind of think through these groupings. Your long-term food storage. This is basic, keep you alive stuff. Then the second is like long-term, make life happy for you. Balance out nutrition a little bit, but then also it's kind of like make it better for you. Third thing is, and I've harped on this before, is meals. Ready to eat meals. And what I like optimally for this is I want food that I don't have to cook. Because you may be in a security situation, you may be in a situation where you need food right now, you don't want to cook. You can pop open a can of chili and just eat it. Just, can opener, spoon, eat, boom. If you need to give out food to some people that are desperately in need, you may give this to them, or may give a little bit of this to them, and then give them some long-term food storage food. But this is super, super important. If we go into times of unrest coming up, this food's going to be super essential. You're not going to have time to be cooking rice, right? You're going to need something that you can just pop in your belly and be good. I've been stocking a lot of these too. Instant mashed potatoes. Everything in there is all ready to go. You can also get the potato flakes, but I don't like how they taste. So I've been buying up. Every time I go to the store, I pick up another handful of these, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. And then what I do is I repackage these into canning jars. So I've just been canning them because it's just more efficient space-wise, just having a whole bunch of these floating around. Plus, these are not really airtight, so that's not optimal. So I repackage them. MREs. So you can do MREs. This one's actually open, but the insides are not open. So this is a spaghetti. I cannibalized something out of here. Or maybe I just opened it up just to see what was in it. I don't know. Optimally, you don't open these things up, but I don't buy these. I've kind of inherited some of these, and I've just made it a point just not to eat them because they basically will last indefinitely as well. And if you have people that have to be doing security to kind of protect your neighborhood or your area, they're going to need something to eat while they're out there. You can cook them food from the inside and then take it out to them, but if they can just have these in their little dugouts or whatever in the perimeter, they can just eat these things. If you need to go out and go foraging or something like that, move a little further away from your house, you're going to want a lot of lightweight instant food. You can mix these with just cold water. They don't taste quite as good, but you don't need to actually mix them with hot water. I brought them up, but then I didn't actually bring them over here. Ramen noodles also is another one. Again, you can eat it while cold soaking it, but it doesn't taste as good. But with just hot water, pour the hot water in there and then let it sit for a little bit, and it's good to go. So that's another option on that. Just lots of great options of just, but think of in your third class, think of foods that you don't have to cook, that you can eat just as is, or if you need to cook them, they're just like super fast to cook. These would be obviously better if you heat it up. Open up the top, sit it on a fire. Is that the best thing to do for thing? But look at that, non-BPA lining. That's a good one for you. You put that on the fire, and it will. It may leach some chemicals into your food, but you know, in an SHTF situation, chemicals in your food are probably not going to kill you. Life expectancy in the United States and Western countries is at record highs, and that's even with eating all this crap. And that's mostly due to medical advancements, dealing with diseases and all that kind of stuff. All right, and the fourth kind of food that you need to have is food out in your garden, food that you're replenishing. So my chickens keep laying eggs, so that is my fourth group. I got protein coming in that way. I have my garden that I harvest a little bit of greens right now, but that will kick into high gear as things go forward. I got some cabbage and some arugula, and I got some lettuce, some other kind of lettuce. I think I got romaine lettuce that's about to go into the ground. I'm still I got those on trays still, about ready to transplant them. So food from your garden is in that fourth category, and if you have a whole bunch of canning jars, you can can it and keep consuming it and rotating it. You can turn that into long-term food storage, but you know, hopefully you have enough that you can actually replenish your long-term food storage, which would be awesome. But if you can't do that, just consider that kind of a rotating pantry almost. So there's your 4 food groups. Not food groups, but food kinds. Long-term food storage, just making your long-term food storage taste better and more nutritionally balanced. Instant food, and then, of course, food that's coming out of your garden that you're replenishing. All right, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully that helps you guys think through some things. Steve Poplar, out.